what we can't do is the opposite, which is what we're doing right now. Let's go back to the last homework you just finished. Excuse me. Price. Just a minute. So right now we're doing this. What happens if I set my price at $8? I'm going to sell 200 and something cases, right? That's what we're doing right now. We're setting prices, and then we're seeing what happens to our sales. So that's the margins. That's what the margins gives us. What margins can't do is go backwards. So margins can't do this. What if I want to sell this many cases? How much should I charge? Right? So if you notice, we had all these, all of our predicted case volumes were in the 200 range, something like that. And that's per week, 200 per week. And that's pretty good also, actually. So what if I'm Mr. Blackstone? I don't know if there is a next Mr. Blackstone. But what if I'm Mr. Blackstone, or Mrs. Blackstone, I guess it could be Mrs. Blackstone. And I said something along the lines of, I'm sick of this 200 cases per week stuff. We need to move more volume. I want to sell, and I'm looking at you, brand manager. You need to move 300 cases per week. Right? Now, we got no control over what seller prices. We've got no control over what Behringer Founders estate prices, but we can control our own price. So I want you to move 300 cases, and you need to figure out what price to set. So how do we do that?
Do a range of prices for yourself to be able to arrive at 300.
You can, or we can work backwards and do the algebra and come up with an exact number. But yeah, we can kind of, but margins allows us to do that range. It's kind of cheating, but it works. It beats algebra, I guess. So let's do both. So we know we're at 875. So let's go back to that first margins we did. That was this one. So this was March, and we're looking at prices from $8 to $9, and we're getting somewhere in the neighborhood of, shoot, we're almost there. So this gives us a pretty good idea. So what would you do next? So what are the prices we're looking at?
So we want to get up to what?
7 to 8?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're pretty close. Damn, margins. I should have never showed it to you.
Would you maybe do 7 to 8, or could you narrow it even more?
Yeah, we can change. We can change.
25 cent in.
Yeah, we can change this to
10
pennies.
cents,
Yeah,
pennies.
pennies if we wanted.
0.01.
But let's just throw it at. Let's go to 25 cents and see what happens. So 7 to 8.
Yeah.
Shoot, I just ruined this whole problem set for you guys.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank him for. All right, let's see what we get. There we go. Shoot, now we got a whole half a class left. So yeah, let's narrow it down a bit to. So what is this? This is 725, 750, 775. So 775 to 750.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
around 762 or something.
7,
So wait a minute, we use that, we use that other
50.
thing to come up with the cases. No, remember the case one?
7,
Crazy.
5,
Do it in 5-cent increments.
5-cent increments. Oh, wow, you're good. You're real good. Okay,
Lucky guess.
so what was for price 4? 765. 765. So if we price at 765 in March, and again, assuming that our competitors keep their regular March prices, if we price at price 4, which is 765, we'll sell pretty close to exactly 300 cases.
But then, plus or minus 13, you gotta
Plus or
go,
minus.
lower just in case.
Yeah, so our margin of error will be somewhere between 95% confidence interval is there. So yeah, we can get greedy and change this to. Do you want to go pennies? I mean, it's computer time, so it's not like it's costing us anything. All right, so what gets us closest to exactly? Well, we're still, looks like that same value, right? 300 there. 299. Yeah, so price 16 is going to be price 16. $765, which is what we had before?
Yeah.
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 So 765. Yeah, I thought that number looked about right. Damn, that takes the whole fun out of this homework. Because I was going to have you do it by hand using algebra.
Bummer.
Yeah.
That just.
Should have known. All right, we're done. I figured that algebra would take us a good 30 minutes and we'd go over again, so.
I owe you a beer.
Any questions?
So when
Yeah.
we
Drink
were
scotch
doing the
right
I do.
assignment, last week's assignment,
Yeah.
we were playing around with the adjust
Yep.
command, and we did.
How'd you find adjust?
You said something.
Oh, did I say it in there?
about homework,
Yeah,
and it
you
was
said it in
really
there.
confusing.
Yeah, no. Adjust is, this tells you how new margins is. Adjust was margins before margins came out. Margins
Oh.
has basically come out in the last edition or so. So margins is, so I need to change that. I guess I don't have to change it since this is the last class, so.
So we used adjust by and then price, and it showed us a list. Is that the same thing that this is showing?
Adjust was a cruder version of margin. So margins replaces adjust. Adjust obviously still works, but margins just allows a lot more flexibility in what we're doing. So we can do this by stuff. We can do the at mean stuff. Margins is a lot nicer than adjust. So, and again, this tells you it's a relatively new feature, but I love it. It's one of my new favorite features. We use it a ton in the 582 class.
It's still not happening, you never know.
It could still happen. So did you use adjust or margins?
Margins.
Margins,
We did
yeah.
both a
Did
little
you?
bit.
Well, I looked up adjust and when.
And it says has been replaced by margins.
Suggested margins. I
Yeah,
just stuck
it
to
said
that.
replaced by margins, so, yeah, I didn't even realize that was still in there. I thought I took it out, so. But again, I had 2 bottles of wine, so. But that was the week before that. Yeah, those are the questions you're gonna be asked. You're gonna do it for, so basically, you wanna follow kind of the methodology we went through. You're gonna do it for a different brand. So we did it for Blackstone here. I'm gonna have I have you do it for one of the other of the 14 other brands. Try to pick out a competitor, using kind of the regression slash table, and try to see which one you think is the main competitor. Make sure the signs and significance are all relevant. But outside of that, yeah.
So I have two questions. I thought I remember you saying for last class that we couldn't find the price, like the exact, if we wanted to sell like so many cases, we couldn't find a price or something. I
We-
remember you saying that, but now we can with,
We can because we're just giving a range of, if we know our output, which we do, then we can find the price by basically giving us this whole table, and then we can pick out that price. The way that I normally do it, that I've normally had you do it, is by just taking that algebra, doing the equation algebraically. So cases equals, let's just do it simply. This will only take us a second. All right, we'll ignore that. So to find the optimum price, we have to solve for price. So we go beta 1 price equals beta 0 minus cases, and then we divide by beta 1, and then price equals beta 0 minus cases over beta 1. And beta 0 is from the regression, beta 1 is from the regression, and we can plug in any value for cases we want here. And then it'll spit out the optimum price.
because we know now the amount of cases that we want to sell, now we can.
Yeah, and this is how you would do it kind of algebraically. What margins allows you to do is kind of, well, just find me a whole bunch of different prices, and I'm going to find the case that best matches my.
Sweet spot.
Yeah. So this number we would have gotten the same answer if you had done it algebraically.
But
And if you
there's
hadn't said anything, we were going to do it algebraically.
But there's no competitors in the
Let's go.
algebraic formula. Would there have been?
So yeah, we would have to have a monthly dummy. So we would have that March dummy, and then we would have the competitor prices. So this would be a little bit.
Our other model, it would have been our other model, but we would have still solved for price.
It would be a little bit more complicated, yeah.
It
Because
would
we
have been
would,
exactly the same as the other, okay.
but we would have a monthly dummy, and then we would have to have the coefficients on the two competitor prices.
So assuming our competitors don't change their prices, we are able to pinpoint exactly what we want to price our product at.
Yeah. And the nice thing about margins is,
It's like cheating.
it is, that's what I call it. I call it cheating. It's
Like,
kind of cheating.
you
But even better than that, margins allow us to, we can actually change our competitor prices too. And so we can get an even bigger table than this with different competitor prices. We'd have another row of different competitor prices.
So you can predict if they're gonna change their pricing, what we would need to adjust to.
Yeah. So it's, you can do a lot with margins. You get a mess, but you have to, if you know how to read the tables, you can do it. So you got a different brand, and then you'll do that. The thing that I think I had you do is, I guess the one thing that we can do that we haven't done. Is we haven't done an elasticity, but essentially elasticity is when we take logs, right? So if you take logs, so let's just do the first one. Okay. Gen ln cases equals ln cases. Gen ln price equals the natural log of price. And I can take that regression and change it. Where's my regression? Copy. So let's see. When you take the logs of our independent variables, we don't take the log of the monthly dummies. But when we take the log of price and we have logs on both sides, this is now a price elasticity. And remember, it's unit free, because if we just do, and again, let's go back one more. I'm gonna get rid of the log. So when we have the units, this is in actual cases. I sell 80 fewer cases per week for every $1 increase in price. But if I'm comparing this to a lot higher volume product, for example, someone that's selling 1,000 cases a week, right? Behringer or Mondavia, one of those, then they're really not comparable. So I can't really tell if I'm more or less price elastic than my competitor. When you take the log, it's unit free. So this is the price elasticity of Blackstone. So for every 1% increase in price, I'm selling 3% fewer cases. And that now I can compare this directly with any of the other brands to see who's got more brand loyal customers, and really that's our measure of brand loyalty. Price elasticity is our measure of brand loyalty. Now, when we take the log of income, that's going to be an income elasticity. When we take the log of our competitors' prices, those are our cross-price elasticities. But estimating the elasticities is that easy by taking logs. We get those price elasticities. I think I have you do that on the problem set. So, outside of that,
And the understanding would be the same for like the other regressions. If we used elasticity, it would just be the same if for every $1 increase, we would either be increasing or decreasing that case amount percentage.
so for the unit regressions, these are actual, so this is the units here and the units here. So for every $1 increase in price, I'm going to sell 80 fewer cases. For the log regressions, everything's in percentages. So now it's every 1% increase in price, I'm going to sell 3% fewer cases.
Yeah, okay.
So because it's unit free, I can compare high volume, low volume products. And there's a huge industry around estimating price elasticity.
So they should lower price.
So if their goal was to increase revenue, yeah, they need to lower price. And usually the revenue maximizing price is going to be really, really low. Firms always want to know what maximizes revenue. I usually tell them you don't want to know because it's usually pretty low. But your goal isn't to maximize revenue, it's to maximize profit. All right. Any other questions? I don't think that was a question. All right, I can get back to problem sets.